What's cooking, my people? My name is Cyblade, and welcome back to another Ruby What If discussion. Part 3 of What If Beerus from Dragon Ball Super adopted Weiss Schnee, because he has the same voice actor as Weiss's actual father, Jason Douglas. But anyways, so last time things went basically the same as they did in Volume 2, with just slight changes, like Yang didn't lose her fight to Neo, and Weiss definitely didn't lose against that White Fang lieutenant, since she's, Beerus' daughter and has been trained and reached a power level at least that of probably one of the maidens. Maybe even stronger, but that's irrelevant. Anyways, so we're now on to Volume 3, and the Vital Festival has started, and Ruby is up against Team Auburn like they were in the original. Now, while Team Ruby is a lot stronger because they've been training with Weiss, been learning the ways of Ki and whatnot, they are quite a bit beyond what they were in Volume 3. They're not showing off, however, they're not like advertising that they're, as strong as most veteran huntsmen, but no, they're still reserving their full power, making it seem like they're still around the level of where students should be at their level. Yeah. First fight, not too much different. Things go relatively the same up until the meeting with Winter. Now, remember, because Beerus, basically came in and stole Weiss when she was a baby, her and Winter don't know each other. Now, they do know that Weiss is a Schnee, Weiss came down, learned about Weiss's family and everything, but yeah, so they meet each other, and it's obviously, a hesitant moment. They know they have a familial connection, but at the same time, they're still meeting a total stranger, so they're cautious, but they seem to start to hit it off, and then Crow shows up and tries to pick a fight with Winter, but Weiss basically shows up and basically smacks Crow, just knocks him out. A bit more bad luck on his part, sadly. Then Ruby shows up and, sees her uncle, starts getting all excited, go see him and everything. And again, things progress, again, pretty similarly, with the exception that, Crow has learned and seen and heard of how his nieces have come across this new power and how they've been rooming with the girl, that he's heard the story from all those years ago. I mean, surely, if it's important, he's heard about it through, the other members of the Oz Illuminati. I'm assuming Ironwood would have told everyone in there, or would have made sure Ozpin's whole entire inner circle knew about this. So yeah, then Crow starts training now with his nieces and learning a little bit in the ways of Ki after his meeting with Ironwood and everything, of course. And Weiss learns, well, it's not really a big point now, or, she doesn't exactly need it. She learns more about her semblance abilities and, like, how she can summon. And because of her extra training with ki and everything, and just general more mastery over her powers, she actually picks up summoning right away, which is pretty cool. But sadly, as her little test from her father to get into Beacon with the armor Gigas never happened. She does not have that as a summon. She summoned like the Death Stalker or something. I think I had her finish. No, wait. The Nevermore. So, again, things are moving pretty similarly until the fight with Flint and Neon. Yeah, this fight is a little bit more difficult, and they have to push themselves a bit more. But again, they're still reserving themselves. But because, again, extra training, and Yang especially, because, she's the, thrill seeker, loves to fight character, she and Weiss, in particular, have trained far more than Ruby and Blake, so they're much better with the key stuff and, generally physically more capable. So, yeah. Whereas, they could barely hold up against Flint's trumpet winds at first, they now basically are just standing there holding their own like nothing. Maybe have to brace themselves a bit, but they can still push through it with little problem. Maybe when he busts out his quartet, which he'll have to do a lot sooner now, they'll have a bit of troubles, but then, breaking out their own power semblances, still easily overcome it. And Neon is actually at the disadvantage against Yang here, because, again, extra training, all that stuff. Yang basically almost puts Ruby's semblance to shame. I mean, again, Ruby's semblance upgraded, but where it was at in Volume 3 in the original show, Yang is now at that level easily. So, yeah, she can actually get a Neon just running. So, yeah, it's not a fun time for Neon. I see Yang basically catching her by the tail and pulling Hulk with Loki, just smash, 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 look at her, smash, slam, and she's out. And then basically the same with Flint, or Weiss dominates him easily. Oh, but before I forget this part, since, Jacques was destroyed in part 1 before Weiss was basically... Oh, no, she... When Weiss was a baby, Willow took back over the stuff involving the Schnee Dust Company, and it's a better company now, not horrible and unethical in every way. So they never took over like the little mom and pop shop, so there was no animosity from Flint towards Weiss. Small note, but one worth mentioning. Again, things remain relatively unchanged until finally the fight with Mercury. Now, you might be thinking, wait, Ozpin didn't consider one of the members of Team Ruby for this? Well, no, because, again, they were already learning the ways of Ki, and while they were somewhat discreet about it, Ozpin still picked up on it. We know he was watching them and, picked up on everything else they were doing, so why wouldn't he pick up on them learning a strange new otherworldly power? So he was unsure whether these powers would work well with the maiden powers, or if, the maiden powers are already incredible, so stacking them on top of this power that already seemed to rival them seemed like a bad idea. So he did not think of asking any members of Team Ruby to become the next maiden. That's still all Pyrrha. So now we go to the fight with Mercury, where Yang does quite a bit better than in the original, and Mercury goes down with little effort. But he never has done anything to stop mind control. We know this with Bobbity and his magic taking over Vegeta's mind, so Emerald's semblance still was completely effective on Yang and made her see that, Mercury was supposedly attacking her. But this obviously angered her quite a bit, like in the original, so she actually flares up a bit of ki when she delivers that punch and actually breaks Mercury's leg off at the knee. So, and then it's revealed he actually has metal legs, and so quite a shock to everyone there, The teachers are shocked. They had no idea he actually had metal legs, and while it's probably not too big of a deal, plenty of people, General Ironwood especially, has prosthetic limbs, so you wouldn't think it'd raise too many questions, but it'd still be shocking to see a kid that young with prosthetics, and I doubt it'd have to be registered or anything, but it still might be a good point to bring up, so Ozpin might have to talk to Lionheart about that. He puts it on the list for later, so. Now, you might think this would be way more damning to Yang's image. She literally broke the guy's leg off instead of just breaking it. But since, we don't know if these prosthetics can feel pain, if breaking off from his leg, he probably felt some good pressure and pain there, but whereas an actual broken leg would take, several months to heal, this would probably be, fixable within 2 to 3 days, maybe a week tops, depending on if he needed a full replacement. So it's bad, but not quite as bad as you might think. So Yang still gets in trouble, but it's not super serious over the top more than the original was. Again, things continue to play out relatively similarly up until, the fight with the PvP, Pierre versus Penny, and, so if Mercury was getting shipped out before, he definitely would be now. So, they're seeing, Ruby saw Emerald in the audience, so she was going to deal with that when she comes across Mercury with his leg miraculously reattached. They must have had some dang good mechanics. But once again, he still stands in her way. However, this Ruby is actually capable of fighting and manages to take down Mercury with little effort, or at least just, she grabs him and throws him over herself so she can get to the fight in time to try and stop it. Sadly, though, she doesn't, and things still progress as they did. Penny gets destroyed, and, the invasion happens just as planned. Once again, now, from this point, things go pretty evenly back and forth between the villains and the heroes winning. Like, Ruby actually defeats Torchwick and Neo, so Torchwick actually doesn't die. He survives. Good for him. So, yeah, Torchwick doesn't get eaten, but, however, not Nevermore, the Griffin still attacks and Ruby takes it down, but causes the plane to crash, or the battleship, whatever. So the robots go offline like they did in the original, but the Grimm are still causing problems. But also very importantly, Yang, Blake, and Adam. Blake and Adam are actually, well, Blake's got quite a bit ahead of Adam, so yeah, she isn't in nearly as bad of a position. Her mental state isn't the greatest, she's still kind of afraid of Adam, and, her greatest fear, like Weiss said in Volume 4, the moment she let her guard down, the thing she was most afraid of happened. So she's in a bad mental space, but still able to deal with Adam, and then Yang shows up, and they deal with him together. So, yeah, Adam, Neo, and Torchwick all taken down and captured, and yeah, so the White Fang is having some issues, but the Grimm are still going strong, and of course, the Grim Wyvern comes out of nowhere and, starts doubling up the Grimm. But luckily, now Team Ruby has all regrouped and they're fighting together up until the point where they get the call from Jean that Pyrrha is fighting Cinder and is gonna die. So Weiss leaves that to the rest of her team as she goes to fly up and deal with Cinder herself and save Pyrrha. Pyrrha is defeated, but before Cinder can finish her off, Weiss shows up and kicks Cinder away. She then puts Pyrrha in a little key sphere and shoots her off safely into Vale, where she conveniently runs into Jean, where they have a comedic little spat about her getting too reckless and doing what she did. So Pyrrha lives, guys! Now, because of Volume 8, Episode 6, we now know Cinder's backstory and how she was trained, and we do know she was trained in hand-to-hand combat. So we finally get, I guess Mercury and Yang was a good hand-to-hand combat fight too, but now we have two super-powered, or, almost seemingly god-level beings fighting each other in a proper, DBZ-esque fight, powering up, screaming, and just throwing punches and kicks galore. But Cinder still does have one advantage. We've seen throughout most of these Dragon Ball shows that fire still tends to hurt the characters, even with their ki and everything. Whenever Goku gets hit with a blast of fire or lava, it generally hurts him. So Weiss, yes, she's working with God Ki, might be more potent than regular Ki, but it's still not protecting her from fire. So Weiss and Cinder are relatively even matched, but Cinder still breaks out fire every so often, which Weiss has a bit of a hard time dealing with. But eventually they break each other's auras, and it does seem that Weiss is going to win, but before she can truly try to finish off Cinder, Cinder pulls out one last thing, goes berserk, basically breathes fire. It might have been, because she's losing her mind, but we've seen she can, spout some fire from her mouth at the end of Volume 7. So, in a moment of desperation, she'd probably try it. And so, yeah, shoots fire from her mouth, burns Weiss, kind of gives her, not as bad, but somewhat of a Zuko-like scar. Still, horizontal, kind of like her original scar, but more of a burn than, just a straight cut. And Ruby has shown up at this point and is, sorry to say, still the MVP with the silver eyes and, leaves Cinder missing an eye, arm, and everything. We see, then everyone's gone, back home. Blake left in a panic. Now, Yang's sad that Blake left, yes, but they didn't have the same relationship as they did with, in the original show, as Yang was closer to Weiss with all their training and fighting and whatnot. So, yeah. It seems like everyone's still a bit broken up, but it's still nowhere near as bad as it was in the original. So Yang is actually willing to go with Ruby and the others when the time comes to investigate Haven, because Weiss still got hurt. They're still going. Just because a lot of people say that Piero was the main reason they went, and, if she hadn't died, they wouldn't have gone. But Beacon was still a traumatic event for all of them. They lost their friends, and, their school, basically their whole lives up to that point have been changed forever still, so they want their payback. Oh, and Weiss still got the scar, still got hurt, so Ruby is quite mad about that, and Yang also. So they're going to get to the bottom of what the deal is with Beacon or Haven, find out where Cinder came from, and shut all that down. So yeah. Finally, the story's changing up a little. How have we changed? Pyrrha is alive. Yang didn't lose an arm. And, okay, I guess, yeah, that is as much as things changed, but still, two pretty significant changes to the original story, so that's my take on Volume 3. What do you guys think? Do you think, it wouldn't have mattered, or if things would have still went differently, or just what you thought of my idea in general? So, let me know down in the comments below. But for now, thank you all so much for watching. If you like this and want to see more, go ahead and slash that subscribe button. If you want like this video, give a quick cut to that like button. Leave a comment down below. Oh, and be sure to hit the bell, get the notifications for whenever I post a video. And be sure to follow me on Facebook and subscribe to my gaming channel, link in the description below. Then I'll see you in the next video. But until then, my people, stay sharp.